Cheers.
Oh, man. It has been a week.
Yeah.
We're only halfway through it.
Yeah, just a little over
It's
at
crazy.
this point.
I mean, every episode is halfway through it. And every episode I feel like we get in here and we're like, God, what a week.
Yeah.
But
we just stay busy. That's good.
Well, we're booming. We really are booming.
We're booming. We're having fun. We're making people better.
That's true.
And those are all the important things.
Teaching.
Yes.
Yeah. Got those really... 2 students in with us now. So that's really really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Some heavy conversations on why people hate jazz, which is crazy.
I don't understand that.
Death metal, I get.
Yes.
Current rap, I get. I'm gonna piss some people off with that. Current rap's not good. But I don't know. Now, this week's question of the week was not as controversial as last week's. I mean, last week's question of the week: tacos, burritos, quesadillas.
Easy
No more, no less.
Easy answer.
To me and you,
burritos.
Yeah, there is no other answer. There's no better option. There's no better choice. It's burritos.
You just get more.
Absolutely.
Bigger. Depending on the burrito, depending on the place, it may be messy. Maybe you may have to eat it with a fork, but you get more.
Yeah. Oh, why am I upset about a mess?
Exactly.
Like, it's Mexican food. Why am I upset about a mess? It's like going and getting wings and being mad if you get sauce on your fingers.
Yeah.
The hell?
Like, bummer. Yeah. Had a good meal.
Yeah.
Right?
This was great.
Right.
Delicious.
Tacos, my wife's favorite, but I mean, they just don't get enough. It's just small, and sometimes it comes out of the shell or the tortilla. Yeah. There's different types. There's authentic when you have like 3 ingredients of meat, onion, cilantro, or you have a little bit more, glamorous tacos of like fish, little sauce, cabbage, little parsley, little cilantro, that type of thing. But again, those are more expensive too. I don't feel like you don't get enough bang for your buck.
I don't know about the expense part. I don't know. I guess I never really pay attention because I never get tacos.
Well, see, most places they sell tacos like 2 at a time, and it's like $15 with like maybe some rice and beans. No,
it's only 2.
Depends on where you go.
Okay, so first of all, here's the order. Let's say the order together. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Burrito, quesadilla, taco. Thank you. Okay, right on the money. Yeah. So this is so to clear the minds of the viewers here, tacos won. And tacos won by an overwhelming majority. Normally it's close, right? Normally it's like a few votes here, a few votes there, like it's a couple votes off. It was like 37 votes to 27 votes. Like it was like a big, large chunk.
Big gap.
Right? And I mean, quesadilla was like way in last with down by like 20 votes.
Right. It's very rare.
It was wild because I feel the same way you do, right? So this is my explanation that I had to people all week. A burrito, I can get chicken, shrimp, steak, chorizo, carne asada. I can get a burrito with all that. Sometimes bacon, cheese, guac, rice, beans, all that. All in one beautifully wrapped, hot, delicious, size of my face burrito.
Or you can get literally everything you just said and not even just one meat. Multiple meats. Rice, cheese, whatever else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I can get multiple meats in one burrito.
Right, okay.
Here's where I struggle with a taco. Because let's say 3. I'm going to say 3, right? Because this is what I traditionally see because my wife loves to get tacos. So she'll get 3 tacos. Now, normally, it's all fish. It's all one meat, which is crazy, first of all. Why would I do that to myself? Why would I not diversify my assets? But second is, let's say it's not. Let's say you got a chicken, a shrimp, and a steak. This is my OCD ADHD ass, right? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at that, and like I do when I grab a handful of Skittles, I'm going to eat 1 bite, then 1 bite, then 1 bite. And then I'm going to go back and repeat it again. Because if I eat all of one, I'm going to get like survivor's guilt for that one. And I'm not going to, I'm going to struggle to eat the other 2 because I've got problems. Because I have a psychological disorder, and who knows what it is, or when I'm going to get diagnosed. But that's my problem, right? Yeah. Just like when I get Skittles, I got to organize them by color, and then I got to make them even. And then I struggle when they're all even because I'm like, okay, now which one do I eat? I'm at a loss here.
Do you organize your Skittles before you eat them?
Yes.
Like literally put them into colors?
Yes. Is that wrong? Is that weird?
I know there's other people that do that. Just grab a handful and eat them.
No!
Just grab a handful and eat them.
That disrupts the balance of the universe. That takes life as we know it and turns it on its head. That is the cause of the apocalypse.
No.
The second coming of Jesus, it's because of that.
No.
My brother in Christ.
See, if you get once, you just get a I don't know, you just get a full flavor. It's like a burrito to me. Seriously, a
That
burrito,
is-
you just get full flavor. But with
That
like
is too many wild
with
combinations of
multiple
flavors.
Skittles or whatever.
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans, right? Yeah, whatever little small piece of candy that you put all that in your mouth at once, and it's just multiple flavors.
I organize them in it too.
See, that's just weird.
I don't know what it is.
It's the same thing in different colors.
So I have a problem with tacos for that reason. Yeah. I don't get the melted cheese component when I eat a taco. Stuff can fall out, especially if there's a sauce component. I'm not getting nearly as much. And sometimes it's cold. Right? It can be cold. My quesadilla, though, not cold.
Normally comes out piping hot.
Piping hot, super melted cheese. The only problem is with a quesadilla is that it's usually more bread than anything else.
That is true.
And that could be a flaw.
I think it depends on where you go. Sometimes the tortillas are so thick that you're just like, okay, I'm eating a lot of bread. But some places they're so thin to where it's like falling out of your hand, and you're like, that's a little messy.
Rule of thumb: say that we could have Mexican every day of the week and be happy.
I think most people would be in agreement.
Mexican and wings.
Wings, yes.
Wings, absolutely. Spicy chicken. Every day.
Yeah.
I know you're more of a barbecue guy, but I'm just saying. Anyway, very controversial debate. There were very many people that came into the clinic and were like, I'm not even answering that question. That just makes me uncomfortable, and I won't answer that question. Why would you do that to me?
Some people are like, oh.
Yeah. Where's the quesarito?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Hold on. Again. Where's the taco burrito dia? And I'm like, huh? This is not Taco Bell. Anyway, welcome in. This is episode 5 of Sword Points and Strong Drinks. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I still feel like we're in January.
I still feel like we're learning a lot with this podcast.
Yeah, the time changes throw me off tremendously.
I love it.
I have not slept all week.
I actually drove over to your house after 7, and it was light out. I was like, wow, I can see.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
but it is throwing me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've had a good time so far. Mm-hmm. We had Briar on last week. That was a great episode last week. Yeah. A lot of really good details on just what a physical therapy should do for you.
Right.
Because again, when you shop for a realtor, right? It's what can that realtor do for you?
Right.
When you shop for an investment banker, what can they do for you? When you shop for a PT, it should be the same thing.
Absolutely.
When you shop for your doctor, it should be the same thing. It should not walk in and be like, oh, well, I guess you tell me what to do. But no. So it was a really good episode. Briar Rogers are just one of our best friends of the show, strength and conditioning specialist, good, long, very interesting history. It really was a great episode. Absolutely. Appreciate that quite a bit. Yeah. And today, I'm going to get into a little bit more into the PT side of things, but I think we're going to answer a question that we probably hear daily.
Well, first thing, we talked about last time they were going to maybe do an episode on nutrition this time.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, so we left off with that, but we're our guest that was supposed to be on tonight just couldn't make it tonight. That's okay. Yeah. So we're going to do it a different day. Yeah, that's cool.
We adapt.
You
find you move it around, you adapt. I mean, we will have a very good nutrition episode.
Yes,
and that's going to be fantastic. And whether it's Nicole, AC, both of them, I don't know. It's going to be a phenomenal Abby. It's going to be a phenomenal episode. But
your question
was, what's the difference between dry needling and acupuncture?
It's a big one. We get asked that every single day, I feel like. All our new patients that come in.
Every single day, probably 4 or 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. And it's a good question.
It is.
And it's crazy that it's a question.
I don't think it's crazy.
I think it is.
I think, well...
So here's why I think it's crazy.
Sure.
Because it's another example of how PTs have done a bad job marketing themselves.
That's a good point.
Because how many people know exactly what acupuncture is? How many patients have done acupuncture?
What? See, I'll disagree with that too. Like, I don't think people know what acupuncture is, what it does, why they do it. They just see a bunch of needles in it, right? It's like, what do those needles do and why? That's a whole topic we'll get into. But first things, I think it's more well known that people know acupuncture just because it's around more. It's been around longer. There's more research recently coming out about dry needling. It's been done recently within the last 20, 30 years. So that's why people, I think, know more about acupuncture, but...
That's fair.
Which is better, though?
Now, listen, I think better is subjective, but how do we use it? And how do we help our patients with it? I think that's a better question to ask.
Absolutely.
Let's call you out on that, but I think it's a better question.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But let's stop, and let's get into the most integral portion of our show.
Yes.
What are we drinking tonight, man?
Good point. Whiskey Sunrise.
Yeah. Now, you had never had this before I made it.
I've never had this, and I'm pretty impressed. Yeah. Honestly. Orange juice and cocktails, they sometimes for me don't go together. Screwdrivers aren't my favorite. Mimosas are good. Those, I do like those. I'm also kind of more of a sweet guy when it comes to cocktails, but this is pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a take on a tequila sunrise, right? Yeah. So it's 2 ounces of OJ, 2 ounces of bourbon. Our bourbon of choice tonight is Four Roses, which is a very good cocktail bourbon.
It is.
It's not an expensive bottle. It's good on its own, but it's also really great as a mixer.
It's an all-round classic bourbon.
And it works really well with the fruity component because it does have creamy aromas. It does have a lemon zest,
vanilla taste,
a marmalade taste to it, but it still finishes with like an oaky spiced finish.
Right.
And this is just the traditional Four Roses bourbon. Now there you get into a little bit more when you get into small batch and single barrel, but it's just a really good mix. And so you've got the 2 ounces of OJ, you've got the 2 ounces of bourbon. I throw some cherry in there. Normally, I put a little bit of some orange bitters. I happen to be out of orange bitters tonight, so I threw in a little bit of triple sec.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You did that when I wasn't looking.
I sure did it when you wasn't looking. And guess what? It tastes great.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's the beauty of cocktails. There's an art to it.
You just adapt.
Sometimes it's hard to
make but this is a really, really good one. It's a classic. It's always so funny because I go to the bar and I ask for a whiskey sunrise, and the bartender always looks at me like I'm an idiot.
No, that's when they go behind the bar and like, what is a whiskey sunrise?
Yeah.
And they're like,
do you mean tequila sunrise? Is this a snooty white rich boy?
What is a tequila sunrise? You know those places.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a very interesting question that we had this week. I don't know how we got into the conversation several times, but people were talking about how expensive it is to go to the bar.
Yeah.
I hate going to the bar.
Love going to the bar.
I hate going to the bar. Why would I go to the bar?
The atmosphere. That's why most people go.
I have everything I need at home. Yeah. Let me pour a drink. Let's have good food. Let's play cards, darts. Let's watch a movie. All of those things I have here, and I just saved myself 50, 60, 70 bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you save on money, save on sometimes, I don't know, effort. Sometimes you don't have to yell, don't have to wait. It's just right there when you're ready. But I don't know. My wife and I go for the atmosphere. That's why we go. We have to go to the right place. Like if you just go to,
that's so sketchy. What's the right place?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it depends on what you're. And I say I don't know because it depends on what you're after. It's like if I'm gonna go to the bar just for a beer, it's like I'm gonna go to a nice brewery that's got my good beers that I know they have.
I never consider a brewery a bar.
I know it's because you don't like beer.
We're talking like a dive bar, bro. We're talking like
like
the chug,
the motorcycle bar,
the motorcycle bars,
the biker bar.
Motorcycle. Piss on the floor. The toilets are urinals. And they're like frothy urinals.
Why would you go to that bar?
I'm just saying, when you're in college, it's a great place to get a well whiskey or jungle juice.
Yeah.
And then, so here's my question: you've talked a lot about opening up a country bar.
I have, yes. It's big idea.
What are you gonna? Am I gonna see you out on the floor line dancing?
I don't want to give it up. I don't want to give up.
You don't have to. Okay. I get it.
But somebody's probably gonna steal it.
My question is your 0% melanin butt gonna be out there line dancing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll pay for that. I'll go to the bar for that.
I know most of the Cotton Eye Joe. I know the Copperhead Road. I've been working on the Icy Country Dance with Ian Munsick.
Oh, we are so very different people.
If you can do that dance, you can line dance.
Oh, we are so very different
people. Intense. Very fast, too. So.
Oh, man. I don't know. I just prefer to be at home. Have a good time.
Yeah. This is nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. It's classic. It's wholesome. I enjoy it. Yeah. All right, so.
Dry needling.
Yeah. What the hell is it?
Good question. So, dry needling, yes. So the best way that I explain it to my patients is it's a way to the best thing it does is reduce pain. That is one of the best known research things that it can do. If you have a lot of pain, we're going to use this. We're going to go deep into that tissue that we have assessed, that we found that is a culprit of inflammation, culprit of damage, culprit of pain depending on the location that it's in, how it's moving, stuff like that. And we're going to put that needle in there, and we're going to do multiple things that we can talk about in a second, but we're going to target that tissue and we're going to make it better. So when that happens, when you introduce that needle, you are modulating inflammation. So we don't, there's a what?
Said $5 word.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So modulate, meaning, maintain, not, increase it, not decrease it, just modulate, because inflammation is a good thing. So just like our ankle sprain. So that's how I discuss this with people, is like an ankle sprain, when it gets inflamed and a lot of swelling happens, that's a good thing. It's a natural body response. We don't want a lot of it. So that's why ice is being introduced. That's why other, physical therapy interventions are being introduced to modulate and maintain that swelling, so you don't get limited range of motion and other things that cause bad problems later on.
I think I want to pause you for a second.
Yeah, please.
I think this is a really important thing to bring up, because this is the first time we've gotten into any level of treatment.
True. Yeah.
Right?
We have not gotten too much
about a lot of aspects, but this is the first time we've gotten into treatment.
Right.
And here's what I think is some very important points to make. The first is, this may not work for everybody.
No.
Not everybody. This is not 100% foolproof. This is guaranteed to help you. Not every practitioner does it the same way.
No.
Number two, we're all taught a little bit differently. You and I are taught very differently. And
Absolutely.
we take each other's skills and we learn them off of each other. Number three, this is not a cure-all. It's not a cure-all. It's not a catch-all. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
It doesn't take the place of other treatments that we do. It's in addition to.
And number four, and this to me is the most crucial point, the way we explain it and the way we're going to talk about it now is how we have found most benefits to explain it to our patients. There are going to be people out there that have different explanations, different understandings, different ideas, and different ways that they describe it. And that is all fair in love and war. I have no qualms with those people. You can have qualms with me if you want to jump in the comics. Come from my head. I'm ready for it. But this is how we explain it to our patients. Right. And this is what we have seen success with. This is where we've seen it grow and where it developed.
Right.
None of this is 100%. We do the research to back it up a little bit, right? But there's hundreds of thousands of research articles out there, and it's growing daily. So it's not like we can look them all up, right? And some completely disagree with the others.
Right.
But this is the ways that we have learned it, the ways that we describe it, and how we're going to find that impact. So go ahead.
Yeah.
I just felt like that was an important.
No, absolutely. And sometimes I get on a word jumble, because I'm so excited.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I'm better when I explain
sometimes.
Most of the time.
You've been studying over your words a lot.
I'm a nerd. It's like I have so much information here. I just want to bring all of that out, and I want to make sure people know everything. But sometimes it is too much, and so I have to reel myself in. So I do explain it a little bit more from an ankle sprain standpoint, because we all know when you sprain your ankle, when you twist it, it's such a common thing to do. It swells up, right? We want that healing process to occur. With dry needling, we're trying to encourage more of that healing process, modulate the inflammation, all of the bad cells that are coming to that area, reset it, help it decrease the pain, help us intervene more, and allow it to move and exercise the way it's supposed to. I think that's a good basic explanation.
And I think it is. I like to break it down just a little bit further. And the reason that I do that, so first of all, the number one question we get is, how is this different than acupuncture?
Right.
Because a lot of our patients have tried acupuncture. And we're gonna vary those differences here in a minute. But what is the baseline of what we're looking for when we think we want a dry needle? Right? We're looking for tight tissue or a trigger point. Now, that's another question I get a lot, or pain. Another question I get a lot is, what is a trigger point?
Yeah.
Okay. Right? And so I think a really good point here, and again, everybody's got a little bit of a different basis. This is how I like to explain it. Our tissues are hundreds and hundreds of layers that stack on top of each other, every muscle in our body. So I always like to use the bicep because everybody's very comfortable with that, right? So there's several layers of tissue on the bicep. And as we use our bicep, those layers move across each other. Shorten, lengthen, shorten, lengthen. Somewhere in that process, dysfunction happens. Now, that dysfunction could be anything. You could have hit your bicep. You could have overused it. You could be weak. You could have torn it or strained it. You could be stiff and it's just not moving, right? There could be something else insidious going on, right? But some level of dysfunction happens. And what that means is that what happens in the muscle is that some of those layers bunch up. And I always say it like a bunch of paper, like printer paper. If I bunch up the corner of printer paper, can I use it? No. I can't use it. I can't write on it. I can't use it. Right?
Like bunching up a dollar bill, putting it into a machine.
Correct. But if I smooth it back out, there's a potential I can use that again. It may not be perfect. There may be more I have to do. But if I smooth it back out, I have the ability to do that again, and potentially use it again. And so it's the same thing with our muscle. When there's dysfunction, it builds up and forms this knot or trigger point. There's a lot of people they say pressure points, trigger points, knots, all of these things. Yeah. And inherently, it is a balled up chunk of muscle. And when you go, now think of that same bicep, balled up chunk of muscle tissue, and I'm curling the same weight I was curling before. Well, that balled up muscle tissue, I'm no longer using that because it's knotted up. And so that's pulling in different portions, and it is less muscularly efficient. So now I'm operating at less of a capacity, and I'm tugging on different areas that I wasn't before. That can create pain, discomfort, overcompensation, overuse, all of those things. So that inherently is one of the big bases I use for dry needling. And then when I look at dry needling, this is exactly what I tell people. I'm taking a very small needle, smaller than a sewing needle. It's very small. And I am taking that needle and I'm popping it right into the trigger point. So it's going through your skin, into the muscle belly, into that trigger point. And I typically lay it out about four things of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for twitch. So I'm looking for a reflexive contraction and then relaxation of that muscle tissue. Basically, I'm poking it right into that balled up dollar bill. And what happens is the dollar bill just goes whoop and straightens back out. Not always. But in a lot of ways, right? That printer paper, whoop, and now I can maybe use it again, right? That's number one.
Right.
Number two is I'm causing micro trauma to the muscle. So I'm doing a lot of small pokes to the muscle, which is creating trauma, which helps kind of, in the way I like to say it, it kind of restarts or re-stimulates the healing cascade, the healing process, brings blood flow to the area and all the restorative and nutritious properties of blood to that area and kicks that back into gear.
Yep.
Number three is there's a bunch of just gnarly, awful chemicals that sit underneath trigger points and in that tissue area to kind of help us understand what's going on. And that kind of flushes that out back into the body, pulls some of those gnarlier chemicals back into the body. And number four touches on something that's called the pain gate.
Yep.
Right? Now, I love talking about pain gate. I cannot wait till we have our chronic pain episode. But inherently, the way I discuss pain gate is if I step on your foot, that hurts, right? Yeah. But if I come in and sucker punch you in the jaw, do you feel your foot anymore? No. Because that becomes your new baseline of pain.
Right.
Sucker punch to the jaw.
Or signals are going to your brain.
Yes. So if I am dry needling you, although it's not a super painful technique, I'm stimulating your sharp pain fibers. And so that starts to become your new baseline of pain. And it kind of makes the rest of that kind of dull, achy, weird fiber-like sensations not as prominent. So it can help reset that. So that's my typical discussion. Now, there's a lot more to get into that, right?
Well, yeah.
But that's just kind of how I lay that out to kind of rock from there.
Right. I mean, it's a good long explanation and it's needed because in order for somebody to truly understand dry needling from the whole picture, that is very important. Sometimes we don't have enough time to explain all that. And sometimes it takes multiple visits for people to understand why it works. Because a lot of our patients, we put those needles in just a couple seconds or even a couple minutes, and they're like, I've had this pain for 10 years and now it's gone.
That part.
What's your favorite word?
That
favorite saying today.
But trying to keep up with the young kids. I'm trying to keep up with the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas.
But it's you just talked about chronic pain. They've gotten this signal from their elbow, for instance. They've gotten the signal from their elbow to their brain for years, and they needed a reset. They just didn't know how to do it, and the needle does that for them.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is a great moment to talk about some of the opportunities, right? So we had Briar.
Right.
On the episode last week, and I talked about this last week. Briar, when I first met him, had back pain for almost 15 years. Football, weightlifting, strength training. That man is built like a Viking. He's built like if they came one day and asked him to play the Incredible Hulk, I would not be shocked.
No. Yeah.
Right? He could be on the Expendables. Chuck Norris is afraid of Briar.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like, he sat down at the table, barely knowing me. He said, I've been dry needle before. It never helped. I've had this low back pain for forever. What do I do? I said, look, well, I don't know what the other practitioners did. let me try my hand at it. So I dry needled the deeper parts of his spine, and he stood up from the table, and I'm pretty positive the man will hate me when I say this, but he might have cried. One small little tear for the Yeti giant.
Yeah, barely.
But he was out of pain. Right? He was out of pain 2 days ago, which we are students. We have 2 students with us right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're seniors in their exercise science program, which is really fun because I personally feel like they are enjoying their time in our clinic. They're getting a unique experience that I know I didn't get in my senior year of exercise science. But I had a young female patient, 26 years old, who had had low back pain for probably 5 years, maybe even longer. And she had been to several doctors, and she's slightly overweight. So those were the conversations. You're young. You're just stressed. Oh, it's just from having a child. Oh, you're overweight. Lose the weight. You'll be fine.
Here's some Tylenol.
Here's some Tylenol. Go take some Motrin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate because that she believed that because none the wiser. No. Right? She had been to a PT before, and that PT was not great. That PT had her walk on the treadmill and put ice on her back and then alternated it with heat. And that was her session, right? Which is crazy because and I said this earlier today in the clinic, and you loved this because I thought it was really good. That system of physical therapy is like going out to eat and just getting a drink.
Yeah.
Like you go out to eat. Just getting water. Yeah. You go out to eat, they give you water. They say, all right, here's your water. Thanks, here's your bill. You didn't get the appetizer. You didn't get the appetizer.
Where's the
entree? Yeah, you didn't get dessert. You didn't get you didn't even get pop.
No.
You didn't get some damn sheer wine. No. You just got water.
You just got...
And that's the same thing that this PT did to this young girl. And so when I went to, even just work on her for the first visit, I barely touched her back. Ow, 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 stop. And I'm barely touching her, right? That's not pain. That's sensitivity. She's just, I akin it to when you're a kid and you skin your knee on your bike. And your mom says, let me touch it. Don't you dare, woman. You ain't touching my knee. You might not say woman. I said woman.
Right.
I call my mom by her name. She hates it. But then your mom says, let me put peroxide on it. Right? And in your brain, you think peroxide is going to burn.
Yeah.
Right? Peroxide doesn't burn. Mm-mm. It does not burn. I've had grown adults look at me and like, no, peroxide burns. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Peroxide doesn't burn. It bubbles, but it doesn't burn. But in your brain, as soon as she pours that peroxide on there, you're worried it's going to burn. So she goes to pour the peroxide, you go, ow, 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 ow. But it didn't burn.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt even.
Your brain was expecting that pain.
So it tried to protect you, right? So that's where this young girl was. And again, some of that's chronic pain. We'll get into that later. But that's where this young girl was. And I said, I gave her a couple of visits. And I said, hey, I'm going to try dry needling today. So it was a very similar situation. I dry needled some of the deeper parts of her spine. And I'm not sure if this is going to work. I don't bank on this working, right, every time. I just want to see it, kind of use it as a tool to assess and see. And she gets up from the table, and my student's there. And she kind of stands up, moves around, and she looks at me, she goes, oh my God. And I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do? And she goes, I don't have any pain. I feel amazing. And she just, I'm trying to get her, I'm like, okay, great, wonderful. Now let's do some exercise. And she just won't, she's not even exercising. She's just moving. And she's like, Jordan, I can't get over how good I feel. And she's like, why did I not do this 5 years ago?
No.
Why didn't nobody tell me about this? She's like, this is dry needling? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it happens every single day in our clinic. And the fact that there are practitioners out there that do not use that is a crime.
Well, there's no, the cost in itself to be educated on that is...
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. And so not too many places have $1,000 to poke around for one half of their dry needling education. Mine was almost $2,000. It's a lot of money. And if you have that opportunity to do it, it will change your patients' lives forever. And so it's such a cool technique. I wish all of us were trained in school to do it. I know High Point has done that. I know our colleague Christian has that, and he had it right as he got out of school. It's great, but we need to be using it with everybody, including not just orthopedic patients, but even neuro patients. Mm-hmm. I would maybe argue acute care patients.
You use it for sinuses.
Yes, and it works. Great example, okay? our girl Susan, right? So shout out to Susan. She has been having headaches for 15 years, right? She had her
and Richard. We can't leave Richard
out.
Of
course,
and Rob. We got to just talk about the whole family.
Yeah, of course, they're great people. She's been having headaches for many, many years. Comes into me, and it wasn't until after I helped her with another her hip even that she was. I was finally asking questions like, okay, is there something else, that I can help with? And she goes, well, I've had headaches for 15 years. I was like, 15 years? Excuse me? She had her routine. She had, she would always go tell Robbie, hey, go grab a Mountain Dew. I'm going to go lay in bed, this and that. And she had no idea that this was out there. So I dry needle her neck first. Next session, I dry needle her face. She, for the first time in 15 years, she didn't have headaches. And that part was such a rewarding feeling.
Yeah. Because it is, headaches, dizziness, sinuses, jaw pain,
tinnitus,
ringing in the ears, in case people don't know what tinnitus is, right? Plantar fasciitis, right? Tennis elbow. Any other pain in the body. Migraines.
IT band friction.
Rib pain. Right?
Right.
Shoulder pain. There are studies coming out now with pregnancy. Pelvic floor pain.
SIJ.
Yeah. There's so many uses for it that it is incredible the lack of use that actually happens in day-to-day.
Right.
And now, to be fair, one of the major barriers is the needle phobia. Right?
There are a lot of patients out there that have a lot of concerns about it. In fact, my last patient today, he was a little skeptical about it. It's the second time seeing him. And, most of the time I don't dry needle a patient very first. I try to see if other interventions work. I can't talk today. I like to see if other interventions. One drink, not much at all.
It was the soda.
The
sheer wine got you skunked.
Stay tuned to the end. You'll find a nice surprise at the end with soda. But I lost my train of thought.
Okay, good. Let me chime in.
No. So, what was I talking about?
You were talking about your last patient today.
Last patient, right. So
this is what every day in the clinic is like with this guy.
Because you interrupt me all the time. Last patient of the day today. Saw him second time. I introduced dry needling, and he was skeptical about it. He said, "As long as I don't look, you're the expert. You're the guy. This is your thing. I know you know what you're doing. Just go ahead and do it." So I did it. Put 3 needles in, and he got up and was like, "I'm a little sore. I don't know if this kind of a weird feeling. I don't know if I do this again." But I told him, I was like, "You're gonna feel better tomorrow. I know it because I found the trigger points." He had the twitch response. Just 1 needle I put into his glute. 2 needles in his back even twitched too, and I knew he was going to feel better after that. I gave him a couple simple exercises. He felt great. He's like, you know what? I worked it. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I know it.
So several, again, continuing to get a little bit into the weeds here. So several things. Sure. Is it painful?
Yes.
Is it painful? That's person dependent.
Yes.
That is very person dependent. I personally hate needles. I still have you needle me all the time.
I do.
Because I know it's effective. Even though it terrifies the hell out of me, it's effective. And it really isn't. Is it uncomfortable? Yes.
Of course. And we tell patients that going in, it could be a little uncomfortable. Everybody's experience is different. What they should feel is a little needle poke. And they may not feel much after that.
They may be sore for 3 to 4 hours.
Right. They might have some achiness when it's happening.
Some people are sore into the next day. Some people are sore for a couple days. That's not the intent. Some people just have soreness in varieties of fashions.
And there's multiple research out there that attempts to kind of minimize this soreness, but whether telling patients about it, doing less things, there seems to be kind of an inconclusive result of how to reduce that soreness.
You could have some bruising.
Yes.
Right? You could have a little bit of swelling in the area.
Think about what it does, right? When we talked about this earlier, it's like, that's the intent. We're trying to reset the tissue and make some swelling. A small amount.
And the only major risk. Now,
one of them.
I say this. This is the most consistent and major risk that exists. And that is a pneumothorax. So, and what that is that's a lung puncture, right? So, if a therapist is working in the section of the lung field, either from the back or from the front, and they just maybe do something wrong way, or maybe their patient does something wrong way. I've had patients where I have needled them and I've left the needles in, and they don't realize I left the needles in. They get up off the table.
Yep.
Terrible decision.
Been there. Yeah.
I've had a guy fall asleep. Brian fall asleep on the table. Needled him. He got up, and because he fell asleep, got up, forgot the needles are in, starts walking around. There's like 4 or 5 needles sticking out of his leg. Right. So that spontaneous lung puncture is very rare because we are trained on ways to avoid the lung field. Right. You and I probably needle every patient every day.
Yep.
I don't think there's barely any of my patients that come in that don't get needled.
Right.
Right. So if we're seeing, we go through needles. If we're seeing 13 to 15 patients a day, we're probably needling almost all of them.
Yeah.
At least 10 to 13, at least all 15.
Yeah.
And I've never punctured a lung. Never.
Knock on wood.
In my history as a therapist, I don't believe in knocking on wood.
Well, we were trained.
But if it makes you feel better,
yeah, just for your sake. I mean, first place I was trained to needle was the upper trap, where that can occur, and so you needle away from the front.
Pull the skin up.
Exactly, and it's just you're always keeping that in mind every time you go to the lungs.
Yeah. And again, let's say it does happen.
Right.
Let's say there's a lung puncture. Very unfortunate. What happens? Go to the hospital, you get some oxygen. The needle puncture is so small because the needle is so small, the lungs will heal themselves with oxygen. So it is not anything that's life or death.
No.
But it is,
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, and it's something you need to pay attention to. And heaven forbid we ever send a patient to the emergency room to do that.
Right.
But it is probably the most major risk. Now, if you have a bad therapist or somebody that does it, and chiropractors try needle now.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
2 in my class.
I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know everything about it. OT's needle. I don't know where the research is in that. I'm going to trust my other healthcare professionals to know that they're being responsible with it.
Of course.
But if you're improperly trained or you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you could hit an artery. Now, that is extraordinarily rare. I barely ever hear about that. But if you do hit an artery, there is a risk of bleeding out there. I've just never even heard about that happening because we're all generally so cautious about working near major arteries. Now, you're going to hit veins. We hit veins all the time.
All the time.
All the time. It's impossible not to hit a vein. If you can pull up a picture of the veins in the body, it's like playing with a needle in a haystack. It's damn near impossible not to hit it.
Right.
Arteries, we know where they're at. We should know where they're at. And we need to know how not to hit those. So I would argue that those are the biggest risks that come with dry needling. But the big thing that really throws people is a fear of needles and wondering if it's painful. Right. And pain is a very personal experience, right? We talked about this. I hate a pain scale. 0 to 10 is bullshit. Yep. Everybody's pain is a personal experience. And I know we don't normally look at the audience. I'm going to look right at the damn audience right here. Nobody can tell you are not in pain.
No.
Ever.
Everybody has a different perception of pain.
0 to 10 is bullshit.
And every therapist has a different way of doing things, right? Like, patient I needled didn't like how I needled. He actually went to you, and he was okay with it. And I have no qualms about that.
We communicate every day on different techniques for needling.
Exactly. Like, there's always, something to improve on. Just like we do in physical therapy school, the number one thing they teach is safety.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Exactly. So we're safe. As long as we're safe, there's different ways to do things. There's different doses of dry needling, right? Okay. We can make patients more sore if we really can. We don't.
Pissed in a sugar point all day long.
Exactly. But there's different ways to dose it. So we can put more needles in. Mm-hmm. The best research to make a good effect is more needles, more time, but then we can also change the diameter of the needle. We can put electrical current through it. There's a lot of ways to increase the dosage or decrease it, depending on a patient's comfort and where they're at their treatment.
Some PTs needle and leave.
Yeah.
Some
PTs. I'm a big believer in that.
Needle, piston, pull out.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that effectiveness, that it's that variety that you have, right? And you find what works for the patient and you do what works the best, right? Absolutely. Not every exercise, just because exercise A worked for Sally doesn't mean it's going to work for John. Right. But exercise B might work for John and not for Sally. Right. It's the same thing with the needle. So I think the point I want to get at here is dry needling is an extraordinarily effective technique that, based on the research, based on studies, based on literally taking muscles out of the body and dry needling them, we know has an effect.
Yes.
We've seen it. It's still being heavily researched. We know it's having an effect. It can be very useful, but not in isolation.
Correct.
And this is the last point I want to make on this before we get into acupuncture and how that differs. Yes, dry needling can take your pain away. It could do miracles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get to the root of the problem.
Always.
So go back to what I said earlier. The reason that a trigger point develops is because there's some level of dysfunction. Dry needling is going to get rid of the trigger point. It is not going to solve the dysfunction. If you don't figure out what caused the dysfunction, it will ultimately come back.
Right.
And so some people come in and they only ever want to be dry needle. I'm not going to argue with a patient. It's your time, it's your money, it's your care. I am going to sit down and very professionally, very politely, and sometimes very bluntly tell you, dry needling is not going to fix you. And if you only want to be dry needled, you're going to come see me for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Until you get tired of me, I get tired of you, or one of us dies.
Yeah.
Right?
Essentially.
It's not going to fix you forever. A good strength program, good stretching, good engagement, good work, paying attention to your body, those are the things that are going to get to the root of the problem.
Absolutely.
Dry needling just helps get you there faster and can help you get there in a safer way. Right. And can be a very life-altering technique. Right. But there's always more to put to it. It is an adjunct to therapy. It is not straight therapy.
Right. When would we introduce this in a session? It's a big question, right?
I think that's tough.
So every therapist is different. So what I do, I like to do some kind of manual work, whether it's a little bit of a soft tissue already, mobilization or manipulation if they benefit from it. And then I put in the needles. Then I re-educate that muscle to make sure that the area that we're treating is, through the core is being fixed. I give maybe an exercise or two to maybe hit the surrounding other areas after the re-education. And then that's my treatment.
See,
so right after manual. For me,
I used to be that way.
Yeah.
I used to never dry needle on the first visit.
Well, not for the first visit, but, sequential.
But I dry needle on free screenings now.
Yeah.
Right?
I did that today, too.
I dry needle on free screenings. I dry needle on the first visit.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's because I'm not using it solely as a treatment, but I'm using it as a diagnostic tool.
True.
If I needle you and you get better, great. That means I'm on the right area.
Yeah.
That means it's
on the right
effective.
tissue.
Amazing.
Right.
Now let's figure out why it's messed up in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's a great way. I say this, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this. Physical therapy is a sale. Because a lot of people have had really bad experiences with physical therapy.
Right.
So even though we are good at what we do, we're very passionate, we're very well researched, we explain what we're doing to patients, and we make sure we hear them and understand them, we still have to sell them on something that they need.
Yes.
Because they've had a bad experience, a poor taste, it's awful, right? Exactly. It's like if somebody for the first time in their life ate a really bad steak. Steak's great. So the next time you might need to retell them how good steak is. You shouldn't have to do that.
No.
Steak is great.
That's a great analogy.
Steak is great. But if their very first experience with steak was terrible,
how do you get them to
do it again?
Yeah.
So you have to sell them on a better experience.
You do.
And so sometimes I will use dry needling because I know I'm going to create an immediate change in that muscle tissue. And that is my way of selling them on a better steak. Yes. Right?
Good question.
So I will sometimes use it in the beginning of my session. I will sometimes wait. I always go based on how the patient's feeling and what's going on with them. Right? And
absolutely.
That's a blanket statement. But we're gonna tag back into that in a minute.
Yeah.
How is this different than acupuncture?
So I'll never forget how my the instructor did for our class. What he said when we were talking about this. How does this differ? He goes, acupuncture points flow through the body through different organs through the body, right? There's a grid system on our body, meridians that are targeted through the organs. He said, apparently that's supposed to be relatable to getting that energy out of parts of those organs. Like, for instance, your gallbladder. So gallbladder 21, if you hit that point, that's supposed to help with the energy out of your gallbladder. It's like, I don't know anything about that. but
that's
dry needling
really crazy technical. I don't even know I've ever heard of that.
Really? Yeah, that was the way he explained it. And so, doing my own little research, acupuncture essentially means needle penetration. So, somewhere on your body, along those meridians, the way that the body is formed, this acupuncture's been around for a while.
Yeah, it's a Chinese herbal medicine.
It is, yes. And so, going into those meridians,
you really want to.
Exactly. So, you're going into those meridians, that helps release the energy. Is there research on that?
There are.
Yeah.
Is it grade A research? I don't know.
Don't know.
So here's what I generally tell patients. Acupuncture is very superficial. So again, very similar to what you said. There is a belief or a theory in Chinese herbal medicine that your body has ley lines of energy that help you function,
right?
Help you perform. And like a boulder blocking a stream, they can get stopped. And what the acupuncturists do is they go into very specific points where those boulders typically stop the stream, and they stick a needle in there, and that helps to clear the boulder.
Yeah.
And that helps to improve the stream of energy through the body, which can help with pain, fatigue, exhaustion, visceral function, a variety of things. What's difficult with that is a couple of things. First of all, it's very superficial. And what I mean by that is where we're going all the way into the muscle tissue, sometimes to the bone, they're going very, very light and very, very, not super deep into that tissue, right?
A lot of the needles that they use are even thinner than ours. We try to use thicker needles most of the time, 0.3 in diameter. They're even smaller, probably less than 0.18, sometimes even less than that. So Correct. You barely do feel it. I've been acupunctured before.
So have I.
Back when I was, that was a while ago, back in early high school maybe, so 10 plus years ago. Yeah, so when we were athletes, right?
I stopped at the person at the mall.
You really?
I got a foot massage and dry needling. I don't know what else you want from me.
My dad was big into chiropractic, still kind of is. He always jokes about going to the chiropractor instead of physical therapist. But,
ooh.
Yeah, I know, that's a big, hard
Was
joke.
your dad at the birthday party?
He was, yeah. You just didn't have a chance to know. There's a lot of people there, but yeah. Went there, and it helped.
Listen, Mr. Russell.
And so here's the crazy thing, right? So I had this big giant bruise. I needed something, right? I was having a hard time running around. So acupuncturist, chiropractor, went in there and put about, 10 needles all over my quad. I thought it was weird, freaky. I can't remember what else happened. There may have been some e-stem that was put through it. I can't remember, but I sat there for 10 minutes. And it's like, okay, I feel a little bit better. But why? And I didn't ask these questions. I was too young to ask the questions.
You had no idea.
But we don't. How? But why?
But you just made two really good points. I didn't ask these questions because I was too young. Yeah, it was really good. Mm-hmm. It should have been on you to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
People are always so stunned when they come into our clinic and we explain the anatomy. We'll pull up apps, we show them pictures, we're discussing every little thing we're doing. And it blows my mind that they're like, I've never had anybody explain that to me before. Mm-hmm. But our students came in, and every time I've ever had a student, I've had tons of students, but every time I have a student, there is, these patients that are like, oh, Jordan's great. Oh, kid's fantastic. Best therapist I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And they'll go into details of why we're wonderful and so on and so forth. And one of the things I always say is they just explain everything they're doing. And
almost too much.
Nobody else has ever done that to me before. And I'm like, what do you mean? So somebody just walks in, stabs you, and walks out. Hey, I'm gonna dry needle you. Boop. Okay, good to see you. Bye. That's wild. That's crazy. And that is a bad stake.
I think some therapists, and at times I'm a little guilty of this, we get too complacent in the routine of what we're doing with each patient, right? You got to reset every patient and explain to them and almost feel like they've never been there before, even though you may have been seeing them for 20 visits.
And that's fair if you get complacent. I get that.
It happens, right? It happens. We got to be safe always. But got to make sure you reset every patient to make people understand, hey, this is what dry needling can do. This is why. I mean, heck, I've seen, Susan's a great example of that. I feel like I've explained to her multiple times, not because she asked, but because I was just trying to do my job effectively. It's just explaining to her the purposes of why we're doing this, what it does physiologically, and every time she understands more and more.
Yeah.
So
I think here's what I want to finish with this. we didn't spend a ton of time talking about acupuncture.
No.
Because we are not acupuncture specialists.
No, and we don't want to say the wrong things.
We are dry needle experts. There are some people out there where acupuncture is amazing for them. It works. It's exactly what they're looking for.
It works for me.
There are probably some acupuncture practitioners that are incredible, right?
We've heard stuff.
We've heard stories.
Yeah.
We are going based off of what we're taught, how we're trained, and the things that we do. So if acupuncture works for you, by all means. But if you're interested in giving dry needling a try, talk to a PT that you trust. Talk to us. Comment in the video. Comment dry needle. We'll come right at you.
Right.
We'll come right at you, and we will explain everything you need to know. And I don't have to charge you for that. I just want to help. I just want to be of service, right? And a lot of people, here's another question that's very interesting. Do you charge for dry needle? Now, that's going to be a case-by-case basis. Some clinics do, some clinics don't. Recently, we're starting to see that the answer is no, because most insurances, as long as you have a plan of care, as long as you are seeing them for some specified reason, dry needling is covered under the scope, just like doing a TENS unit, just like doing exercise, soft tissue. It's covered under the scope, right?
Right.
However, if you want to do dry needling only, you may have to pay an out-of-pocket charge for that. Right. So, for example, some clinics that I've worked at before, they charge $50 for a dry needle only session, right? Our company is amazing in the fact that we tend to just dry needle for free.
Yeah.
Because it's effective, it's helpful, and it's one of those things where we know that we can make a benefit for you. And at the baseline, all we want to do is help.
Right.
Yes, we need to make money as a business, but that's not really the goal for us. The goal is to help people the same way that we would want to be helped. So if you're interested in dry needling, find somebody to talk to help you understand it. Research it yourself. Ask us. Comment on our posts. Let us know what you're thinking and how, and ask those questions. Can it help this, this, and this? There's a strong possibility.
Absolutely.
So let's see. What's really interesting is that there's a court case that got settled not too long ago.
Yeah, and
so
I actually didn't know this until you told me.
So this was the state of North Carolina. The Acupuncture Association, the Acupuncture Board, sued the Physical Therapy Board because they said we were stealing or misidentifying their practice. And we were taking their techniques and their practice. Now, this was a 4 to 5 year lawsuit. Right, this went on for a while. Cease and desist letters were sent. All of these things. And without getting into the weeds of it, it ended with the Acupuncture Association withdrawing and basically saying, we don't have any evidence.
Yeah.
The physical therapy can show the evidence and show that it's effective. We don't have that evidence. And so they withdrew. There was a monetary settlement. And thank the Lord, we get to dry needle.
Mm-hmm.
And now, not every state has that, too. That's the other very important
Not every
thing.
state has that, unfortunately. Hopefully.
I don't think you can dry needle in Florida.
No kidding.
And I don't think you can dry needle in Jersey.
I know you can in Missouri. I know you can in Arkansas.
I don't know if you can do it in California either. Every state has laws and regulations on dry needling.
Yeah.
And that's changing. But not every state you can dry needle in. Right? So understand what your state is.
Do some research.
What it looks like. Make sure you do the research and understand. So, I think again, at the end of the day, dry needling is effective.
It is.
It is beneficial.
It's one of our biggest tools. Just like everything that we do, every intervention, everything that we do with the patient, it's a tool. We don't always have to use that tool. Good words. It's an adjunctive therapy, a good tool for us to use on any patient that would allow us to do it that we think is appropriate for them. But we're always going to do more than that.
And to patients, don't be afraid to try it.
No.
I know it's daunting.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's scary. As long as you trust your PT, trust your practitioner, don't hesitate to try it.
Yes.
Because it can have life-altering results, but not in a silo. Make sure you are strengthening, stretching, engaging, staying physically active, and being a functional human being.
Absolutely.
Have your water with your appetizer and your meal and your dessert drink. Because we all know we got to have some brandy with dessert.
Brandy.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you drink brandy?
I do drink brandy.
Do you really?
Yeah. Brandy's great.
I don't know if I've ever drank.
Brandy with
I've had it with another mixed drink, like a cocktail, but I've never actually drank brandy.
Like brandy with some amaretto and a heavy cream, and a dessert. I'm telling you, it's really good. I'm telling you, it's fantastic.
Really good,
This is a great episode. So,
absolutely. This has been something we've been wanting to do for a while. Probably, that was one of the first topics that we discussed when we were wanting to do this podcast is grinding versus acupuncture. Hopefully we educated a lot of people tonight to where they're going to try it, or if they're going to keep doing it, or they're going to ask more questions to maybe they might consider more.
Yeah. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Please share this. The goal is not for us to make money off of this, for a profit in this. I want this information to get out to people solely so that they have a resource in their back pocket that says, hey, I learned something new today about this. I now understand the healthcare field a little bit better. From insurance to what a physical therapy is to now dry needling. And we're going to do pelvic health at some point and not having to piss yourself when you squat or laugh or cough, right?
Yep.
We're going to do things on sexual dysfunction. That's important. Right. We're going to do nutrition. We're going to do imaging. So we've got a lot of really great arthritis. That's going to be a big one.
Yes.
We've got a lot of really great material coming our way, right? And as we're learning, we want you guys to learn too, and we want to bring that to you. So make sure you subscribe, hit that follow button, listen on every platform that you have available, share it with your friends, comment, ask us questions.
Yeah. Ask us what you want to know.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll put it on the next episode.
Yeah. Chime in with taco, burrito versus quesadilla.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us.
Place your vote.
Yeah. And I've been putting that. I'll put that vote up.
Yeah.
Put that vote up, but place your vote.
Yeah.
And then we are going to finish this video. So we did a little something fun at the end of this video.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it.
We did a little bit of a soda challenge. So I failed miserably.
I won.
Yeah. You don't often win at things.
I don't know.
That maybe
a couple things. Darts.
That may be darts.
And the throwing of the bottle caps that we just
Whatever. Anyway, stay tuned at the end of the video. We have a fun soda challenge where Kit and I try to compete to see if we can identify different sodas, blind testing. So it's a good time. As always, thank you for tuning in. And we will catch you on the next episode with a new bottle of bourbon and hopefully some new knowledge and some new jokes.
Some more sore points and stronger
drinks.
Hey guys, it's Kit from Sore Points and Strong Drinks. We are doing something fun today. We are trying different forms of cola. I have no idea what's in this.
Is it cola or soda? I feel like it's soda.
Well, forms of cola.
Do you call it soda or pop?
Soda, for sure.
Okay.
Back where I'm from.
Okay.
But sometimes pop, sometimes soda, depends on your mood. But Jordan has mixed these up. I have no idea what arrangement this. I do know what what the whole group is, but I'm gonna give them a try and see what each one is. So here we go.
Go for it, brother. Oh, so you're starting on okay? Hold on, wait a minute. You're starting on that side. Okay.
Do I get 2 tries or 1?
You can take 2 sips. That's fine.
Okay. I'm gonna go Coca-Cola with that. Regular Coca-Cola.
Okay.
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 I knew we should have used water for this. It's all gonna taste the same.
What? That's the tough part.
Here we go. It's cherry cola.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm gonna try to keep you guessing.
That one's a little weird. Maybe. Crap, no, I think that's Coke. Dang it.
It's hard.
I'm gonna go Coke Zero.
Okay.
I don't know. Those are the first one and the third one are so similar.
Okay.
Okay, let's do the third one. No, that's Coke Zero. That third one is Pepsi. I'm changing my mind.
Okay.
Okay, that third one is Pepsi. That's why they are so similar.
Okay.
Okay.
You're saying Coke and Pepsi are similar?
No.
Are you trying to cause an outrage amongst the fans?
But this is cola. This is all forms of cola.
Listen, guys, slaughter him in the comments.
Okay. Number 5. Coke Zero Sugar. That was an option, right?
Coke Zero is Coke Zero sugar.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh.
You already said one of them was Coke Zero.
I know, that's what it was. I thought. Those are similar. Crap. This is so hard. I think that one's cheer wine.
Okay. All right. So you get one more sip. Go through. Make your final tallies.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
One more sip.
I'm gonna change it all over again.
Okay.
Pepsi.
Okay.
Okay, final answer.
Okay.
Pepsi. Cheer wine.
Okay.
Coke regular.
Okay.
Diet Coke.
Okay.
Coke Zero. Cherry Coke.
Final answer?
I know I'm spot on here.
Damn, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah!
You went from none right to all right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely absurd.
Second chance.
I shouldn't have given you a second chance. I fucked up there. I shouldn't have given you a second chance.
I would have screwed up. Yeah.
I should have just let you ride it on the initial wave.
After I tried them all, I like compared them all. I'm like, okay, because that one was what really gave it away. Once I was like, wait, that's cherry Coke, so wait, this has to be cheer wine, and then everything just clicked.
Yeah, I mean, we had to throw in the cheer wine for the Southern folk.
Oh
right?
yeah, and it's actually very similar to cherry Coke. So
is it really?
Throws it off completely.
Oh
yeah.
man. Okay,
So
good job, confident answer. So then
some...
what we'll do is we'll switch it around, and here we come, coming down.
Love it.
All right, gang. It's Jordan with Sore Points and Strong Drinks, SPSD. We have seen Kit go 6 for 6 in here.
That was hard. I will be honest.
I shouldn't have given you the extra shot.
I know.
It kind of brutalized me. I don't drink pop.
Oh, so you go by pop.
I don't Midwest.
I know.
I don't drink pop. This feels like it's going to be more of a challenge than I think it is. Although when I did this with my wife several years ago, I got them all right. So let's find out.
We'll see.
All right. Let's begin.
Here we go.
I think that's Pepsi.
Okay.
But we're going to have to...
Is that your final answer?
Hell no. Wait, what the what? Okay.
What's your answer on that one? First take.
I don't know. They both taste like Pepsi. Christ, neither of them are Pepsi. They're both Coke. Coke Zero.
Okay.
Cherry Coke.
Take two.
This is so hard. Diet Coke?
Diet Coke. Okay.
What the hell is that? I don't even think I said
This is
Pepsi
too
yet.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta give something to that.
Okay, I'm gonna say Pepsi. I don't even know if that's Pepsi. What the? I'm so wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Everything is a
Have
lie.
you said cheer wine yet?
No, because I didn't taste another cherry. This is crazy. Also, I don't think I've ever had cheer wine.
Really?
Hot take.
What?
I don't drink pop. I don't think.
But cheer wine's like a North Carolina staple. You have to drink this. Like, it's,
I mean, so are red
it's
hot dogs, but
full-
that's weird. So I've never had one of those either.
I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. Gotta have one.
Why?
So maybe that's what we need
What's
to do
the
next
difference?
time. What's the difference? There is a difference. Hot take, red hot dogs are a little bit better. Well, except for the Nathan's ones; those are top dollar. We need it. I guess we're gonna have a hot
dog competition?
contest. Yeah.
Can we invite that guy that eats 400 hot dogs in 30 seconds?
Chestnut.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah.
Didn't he get banned?
Yeah, for something stupid. I can't remember what it was.
Wild time.
Yeah.
What if it's not something stupid and you just pissed off a bunch of people?
No, I mean, I thought it was kind of stupid. I can't remember what it was.
Who
I don't
cares?
know. He shouldn't be banned. He's a world champ like 12 years in a row.
All right, one more take.
All right.
All the way through.
Hot take.
So
start over.
I've got Pepsi, Coke, Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Cheer Wine, Cherry Coke. Okay, here we go.
Wait, did you just name 7?
No. I said Pepsi, Coke, Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Cheer Wine, Cherry Coke. That's 6.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Weird. Stroke.
Sorry, jeez.
Diet Coke. Final answer.
Okay.
Pepsi. Final answer.
Okay.
Cheerwine. Final answer. Regular Coke. Final answer. Coke Zero. Final answer. There's no way that's Cherry Coke, but Cherry Coke. Final answer.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you got 3 wrong.
Damn!
Yeah.
This is hard. Okay,
4 wrong, actually.
4 wrong? I only got 2 right?
And we got 2 right. So Diet Coke on the right.
Okay, got that one.
Regular Coke, you said was Pepsi.
Jesus, okay. Now I'm a failure.
You got Cheerwine right.
Okay, cool.
Pepsi. Called it Coke, so you switched those, which is interesting.
That is
because
interesting.
It's not the
Like
same,
money.
but it is.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's wild that the next one you said was Coke Zero, but it was Cherry Coke.
That tastes nothing like Cherry Coke.
It does. It's a very small...
Fuck, there it is.
Yes. You have to taste it. Yeah.
Man!
Isn't that so close to Cheerwine?
How did
though?
you get this 6 for 6?
I tried it twice.
That's just so rude.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us for another fun episode and another fun time. As always, like, subscribe. Throw a comment in the bottom of the page. Let us know what your favorite is. Let us know if this was crazy to mix up Coke and Pepsi. They tasted the same to me. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you on the next episode.